board. So over here I have some of the descriptions. Over here I have the pictures. More than likely, we're just going to have the pictures on the test. It's going to ask what's going on in this picture or what is significant about this picture. So this particular picture, it says up here, it's a pretty big hint. White wings under police protection. So the White Wings, or the White Ducks, were run by General George Waring. Again, George Waring, General Waring. The general went to war against filth in the city. So they're cleaning up the city, pushing the trash, cleaning everything up. This is a picture of a trolley or a streetcar. A lot of times they would be electric cars, and so public transportation is more common. This is actually in San Francisco. You can see Alcatraz, the famous prison, back off here in the distance. This is a picture of a settlement. So Jacob Riis was the famous photographer and the famous journalist that made the terrible living conditions more well known to the general people. So he would take pictures and share it with more wealthy people and kind of let them know, hey, this is how the other half lives. In fact, he wrote a book called How the Other Half Lives, and it ended up being a bestseller. So these people are in a tenement, and they are all crammed in there. This is a picture of a fire. I believe this is a Chicago fire. With the invention of skyscrapers, fires became a really big deal, and so more regulations came out. Sometimes regulations are just kind of a pain, but in this case they needed them because there were hundreds and hundreds of deaths in these fires. This is a picture of steel being made. So steel was more of a slow process up until Andrew Carnegie got a hold of it. So overseas, they had mass-produced steel. He was the first one in the United States to mass-produce. The other people couldn't compete with it because he had such a huge quantity, he could charge less for it. And so he had kind of a monopoly on it. Andrew Carnegie got super rich because people are using it for things like skyscrapers, and it was just a lot more common. So that's what's going on in this picture. In this picture, we have skyscrapers. A gentleman up on top of a building, building the building, and these people would have to be pretty comfortable with heights, and a lot of them ended up falling to their death as they built things. They didn't have much protection. This gentleman, Thomas Burns, so he is in New York City. He worked for the New York Police Department just as a detective, and he went out and he would capture criminals, but he would do it in a pretty shady way. He was known for the third degree. He would do 3 different things, and the last one ended with pain until they told him what he wanted to know. The main thing that he was known for was the rogue gallery or the mug shots. He'd take pictures and blast them out all over the United States. That way, if a criminal would just leave town, somebody else would know what they look like. In this picture, this is a transcontinental railroad. The 2 railroad names again are the Union Pacific and the Central Pacific Railroads. Here they're meeting at Promontory Point, Utah, and they're celebrating. Also, same picture, same scene, different picture of transcontinental railroad meeting. Here, there are women on strike. More than likely, they're part of a labor union, and they didn't get what they wanted despite their collective bargaining, and so they're going on strike. These are people coming into Ellis Island. Chances are, whatever they're carrying is everything they own. If it's not worn by them or in their suitcase, that's it. That's it. They would move to the country with this. A lot of times they didn't speak English. They would go through customs, and the last thing they would go through is the money exchange, where they would get U.S. currency. This picture here is Thomas Edison, and he's talking on a telephone. He just called somebody in the room next door to him to ask if he could hear him, and that ended up changing the world, made the world a lot smaller. We talked about that. And again, Alexander Graham Bell, it should ring a bell. It should ring just like a telephone. He's also known for making the phonograph and also an electric voting machine, and so it could tally votes or count votes. Am I mixing him with somebody else? I mixed him up. I'm sorry. Alexander Graham Bell is just the telephone. Just the telephone. This guy, Thomas Edison, he's the light bulb. not the first light bulb, but the light bulb more common, and he was the one with the phonograph, so you could listen to music, and the counting machine, the voting counting machine. I apologize. So, Thomas Edison, super famous, and then he also made a power plant basically that could light up a town. So they didn't just have the light bulb, but they were able to have a power plant that would keep the entire city running. So, I think that should be about it. Doesn't seem like we went through everything, but that must be it. So study hard. If you don't know it now, you're not going to magically know it when it comes test time. So make sure you do know it. If there are things that you know already, go over it once and then don't come back to it. Go back to the things that you don't know over and over and over until you do know it. And maybe if it's this picture that you don't know, look at this picture, go over what you're supposed to know and go to the next one and go to the next one and then come right back to it. And then come right back to it, and then come right back to it until you know it and it's ingrained in your head. Repetition makes a memory. So, good luck.